Now, and we're joined by Andreas Krieg, who's an associate professor in the School of Security Studies at King's College London. Thank you for joining us. What are you making of Benjamin Netanyahu's actions in Lebanon?
I think we need to look at this as quite a desperate move by Netanyahu to create some facts on the ground that potentially are irreversible as we are moving closer and closer to some sort of MOU between the United States and Iran, which will likely include Lebanon as well. And it's a sort of setup where Netanyahu will feel more pressure from Washington not to further escalate in Lebanon. I don't see at the moment a trajectory whereby Israel will get a green light from Washington to continue striking at large in Lebanon. And we have to be honest, apart from certain tactical achievements that Israel has had, such as the widely celebrated taking of the fortress and the castle yesterday, there have been no real operational, nor definitely no strategic gains by Israel. And Hezbollah is still alive and kicking, and the northern communities in Israel are still under threat by Hezbollah. So Netanyahu is under immense pressure to show something, even if he has to concede ultimately to American pressure to cease operations. And so he's trying to create as much sort of gain as possible in the media space so that he can potentially withdraw.
Also, Andreas, I mean, apart from death and destruction, what has Netanyahu actually really achieved here? Not just, of course, in southern Lebanon, but also in Gaza.
To be honest, Israel's regional perma war has really achieved very little for Israel. Israel has certainly not become more secure because of it. Hamas and Hezbollah as the key sort of fronts for Israel outside of Iran and all the other areas where Israel has struck targets. Hamas, it was about Hamas, it was about Hezbollah. Both of these non-state actors are very much alive. They're very much operational. The insurgency that fuels, or the insurgencies that fuel both Hamas and Hezbollah are very much alive. From a counterinsurgency perspective, Israel has achieved very little, to be honest. There's very little that it can actually show. Obviously, in Gaza, they control the ground, but they're unable to actually seize and hold territory effectively, and obviously have created immense destruction that is very much unheard of in modern military warfare. And then if you go and move to Lebanon as well, a lot of destruction, a lot of attrition. But that attrition has not been translated into a political outcome. And here's the problem with all of it. Netanyahu has no strategy. He's been lacking a political strategy for a way out of it. Because you fight war to achieve ultimately political ends. And he's been fighting war for the sake of fighting war, to keep him engaged, for keeping Israel in a permacrisis, whereby he can politically maneuver to survive all the pressures domestically. But essentially, Israel has no off-ramp and has no roadmap, and also no clear vision or theory of success in Lebanon in particular, but also in Gaza. And Israel seems to be quite happy under Netanyahu to just continue in a gray zone between war and peace.
Yep, so that brings us to talk about the wider Middle East here, and what does Israel really want here as well? What is their calculus?
Israel sees itself as eternally victimized. Everyone in Israel sees itself as a victim of not just October 7th, but all the other ripple effects that have come from it. I think there's a distorted perception and a complete reversal of perpetrator and victim here. But the Israelis see themselves as victims. They see themselves as having to defend themselves against this omnipresence of different Arab and Iranian outlets, state and non-state actors. They're trying to achieve something that they ultimately cannot achieve, because militarily speaking, Israel cannot win any of the wars, not in Gaza, not in Lebanon, not in Iran. And to be honest, if you look at it strategically, Israel is in a far worse position than it was a couple of years ago. It's certainly far less secure than it was after the 7th of October. And what it's doing now in Lebanon as well, it's kind of trying to, Hezbollah was crumbling. Hezbollah has been immensely hit by these operations, but it's still, apart from operational successes, Hezbollah in many ways has lived through a revival, because they're now the only sort of front line to say we are the only ones who are defending Lebanon, the homeland, against Israel, while the Lebanese armed forces are not there. So in many ways, Israel is creating the adverse effect. It has lost global public opinion. It has lost the Arab street. It has lost Arab regimes as well, and it certainly has lost the war in Iran, and it's now potentially losing the war against Hezbollah as well, because Hezbollah's insurgency is now being fueled again by the mere fact that Israel is willing to stay and seize territory permanently in Lebanon without a clear off-ramp. And that's the sticking point. If Israel wants peace, it has to ultimately withdraw back to the international recognized border.
Andreas, thank you. Andreas Krieg there joining us live from London. He is from King's College London.